Hi everyone, this video is going to be the first in what I hope will be a series of videos where I compare the brand name skincare product to a generic skincare product. And I guess we could expand that into other areas like makeup, but I'm not sure that that is as readily available. So this first video, I am going to compare a very popular moisturizer or sunscreen from CeraVe versus CVS's generic brand of that product. So if this is the kind of thing that interests you at all, please let me know in the comment section below what other recommendations you have for other products you want to see in a battle head-to-head, compared ingredients, application, wear time, all that kind of stuff. For the brand versus the generic version, and just be specific about what it is you want to see, and I will definitely consider it and try to do those videos for you. So like I hinted, today's video is going to be CeraVe's AM Facial Moisturizing Lotion with SPF 30 versus CVS Health's generic brand version called the AM Moisturizing Facial Lotion with SPF 30. So if this is at all of interest to you, make sure you keep watching. Thank you so much for subscribing and hitting that red subscribe button and following Allura Beauty over on Instagram. Handles in the upper, on your screen, is it upper left-hand corner? And if you haven't checked out my most recent video, I will link that in the upper right-hand corner for you. I think that was my top recommendations for vitamin C skincare products. So I explained to you what to look for and why those products are the absolute best on the market as options for you. And I have a bunch of other skincare and body care videos out there for you to check out. So if you want to check out that playlist, then please feel free to do so. All right, let's jump into comparing these two products head to head. So as always, I will put the information for both of these products in the description box below, as well as to where you can find these to purchase them if you want to, and a link to Rakuten. So if you're doing any online shopping, you should be part of Rakuten so that you can at least get cash back on whatever money you spend. So all those links will be in the description box, as well as pricing information. So CVS is a local drugstore here in the United States. I think it's nationwide. So if you have one local to you, this will be very easy for you to access either one of these products. And in this video, I'm going to compare not only the ingredients head to head or side by side, but I'm also going to show you how these apply, give you my experience with using them, how similar the texture is, the wear time is, etc. So when you go into your local CVS store, you will see these two products side by side next to each other. They come in boxes that look like this, and so it's similar packaging, blue and white predominant packaging, and the way you can tell that you're getting the AM moisturizer is because there is this little orange-ish yellow space that says AM and the SPF. Now, what's interesting is the pricing. So when I went into my local CVS, the pricing for this had the CeraVe one at $17.99, and then CVS's version at $13.99. So clearly the generic version is cheaper, and this is, not separate from any sort of discounts that may be applying temporarily, like buy one get one half off, or if you have a 40% off coupon. Obviously those things will affect the pricing, and pricing on products differs from drugstore to drugstore. So if you go to a Rite Aid or Walmart or a Target, the price will vary a little bit depending on where you purchase from. But I think for the most part, you usually find the generic brand priced at a cheaper price point than the brand name, because when you buy a brand name product, part of that price that you're paying is for the name. The packaging of the bottles is identical also in terms of function. They're a little bit different in design, but again, white and blue, and they are both opaque pump dispenser bottles. So that's great because you are keeping the ingredients inside stable by not having them exposed to air and by not having them exposed to light. With both of these, you twist the cap to open it up so that you can then depress the dispenser, and as you can see with the CeraVe one, it is the same function. With both the brand name and the generic version, you get 3 fluid ounces in the bottle. So externally, we have a pretty similar product so far. Now let's dive into the ingredients and see what we get. Now, obviously the most important part of this moisturizer is the fact that it has sun protection in it. Both of these will give you a sun protection level of 30, and they both achieve that through the same chemicals that are giving you that sun protection. Notably, they both contain 10% homosalate, 5% meradimate, and 5% octinoxate, 2% octocrylene, and perhaps the most important is 6.3% zinc oxide. The percentages of each chemical is exactly the same in both of these products. So that's the most important part of the product, but CeraVe's moisturizers are also known to contain good skincare ingredients. So let's dive into those non-skincare ingredients to see if we get the important skincare ingredients in both of the products. So both of these products start out with the same 4 ingredients to start the list, which is water, then niacinamide, which is a great skincare ingredient to have, glycerin, which helps to hydrate or act as a humectant. 4th is cetyl alcohol, which acts as an emollient ingredient. Then next we have a little bit of a divergence here. So whereas the CVS one jumps right to dimethicone, the CeraVe version has this ingredient, which I honestly don't even really know how to pronounce, bihentrimonium methosulfate, which seems to be just another type of emulsifying ingredient and adds texture to the product. Next, again, CeraVe has BHT, which the CVS version does not, which is a synthetic antioxidant. Then we go back to being on the same page with several ceramides. So you have ceramide NP, ceramide AP, ceramide EOP. And ceramides naturally occur in the skin and when applied topically can help kind of replenish and maybe plump up the look of the skin. Now, the next divergence in ingredients I find particularly interesting because you'll see on the brand name version that the next ingredient is carbomer. And I initially didn't think that this would make any difference, but when I looked up carbomer, it's apparently a texture enhancer or a type of ingredient that attempts to create a more gel-like texture in a lotion. But if you look at specifically Beautypedia's ingredients list, which is one of the many resources that I always use when I am not familiar with an ingredient and I want to look it up, it notes that high amounts of carbomers in a gel might result in the product rolling or balling up, in other words, pilling, which I found very interesting, and this will come up later on when I show you the application and give you the review of how the products function side by side. Now, this ingredient is also present in the CVS version, but it's not present until the very end. It's the second to last ingredient. So, I mean, at this point, even at this point towards the middle of the ingredients list, the ingredients that we're talking about are present in pretty small amounts, but even that said, the carbomer present in the CVS version is present in extremely small amounts because it's almost the very last ingredient included, whereas in the brand name version, it is before the halfway point. The CVS version next has sodium hyaluronate, which I don't see included in the brand name version. And sodium hyaluronate, which is also an antioxidant and helps to replenish the skin. And from this point on, we get pretty divergent ingredients, so I don't think it's that useful to compare this head to head. But again, all these ingredients after this point are present in pretty small amounts. Both products end with xanthan gum, but that's pretty much the only overlap, other than the fact that the brand name CeraVe version does have a version of hyaluronic acid. It has hydrolyzed hyaluronic acid in it, but it's in a smaller amount. And the sodium hyaluronate that's present in greater amounts in the CVS version has been shown to be a more potent version of hyaluronic acid. Something I will also note is that it looks like in this area of the ingredients list that for the CVS version, there's 1 or 2 ingredients added that lend to a more mattifying effect on the skin, which is something that I think you can see the effect of when you apply and use these products. So overall, I think the point of the comparison for the ingredients list is that these are very similar in terms of the active ingredients and the important skincare ingredients, which aren't necessarily active ingredients. So primarily the fact that they have the exact same sun protecting ingredients and chemicals at the same levels, and in addition that the first half or so of the ingredients list is pretty much identical, and the really important skincare products or ingredients, things like the niacinamide, the glycerin, the ceramides are all both present in very similar amounts with both of these products. So all the things that would be most important on a skincare level are pretty much identical between these two products. But now let's talk about how they compare on more of a cosmetic level. So what I did was that there were several days where I would use just the CeraVe one, and then some days I would use just the CVS one. And then right before I started filming for this video, or at the beginning of filming of this video, what I did was I applied each one to one side of my face. So for me, I was applying the generic brand on the left side of my face, which will be the opposite for you. And on my right side of the face, or your left side, is the brand name version. I'll show you some footage of me applying each of these to my face. But before we do that, I just want to show you that is what the CVS generic brand looks like, and next to it I will pump out the CeraVe one, which looks like this. So visually on camera they look pretty similar. When you blend them out, this is what they look like. That's the CVS one, and then this is the CeraVe one. Now what I will tell you is immediately what I can notice, or what I do notice, is that the CeraVe one has a less thick texture to it. It glides more easily across the skin. It has a slightly more gel texture to it. The CeraVe one is a little thicker, and it has a little bit more of a cream or lotiony texture. The difference is slight, but definitely noticeable. They both smell kind of like sunscreen. They don't have any added fragrance to them, which is fantastic, but they do have a slight sunscreen scent to them. So there's the comparison to the texture. I found the brand name CVS one to be a little more lightweight and spread across the skin more readily. So let's cut to a clip of me applying these to the face. I first applied in my first round the CVS one to the left side of my face, and it spreads nicely. It does have a white cast on initial application, but that dissipates very quickly and doesn't leave a white cast after you've blended it in. Now, of course, this is me saying this as a person with lighter skin, and so I do not know, and I can't say if there would be a remaining or lingering white cast if you did have deep skin or even medium to deep skin. Then I applied the CeraVe to the right side of my face. Again, you get that noticeable white tint upon first application, which is normal with zinc oxide, but once you blend it into the skin, it does not have a lingering white cast to it. It doesn't spread as readily across the skin, but both of these, after they have set into the skin, don't, on my skin, appear to have any sort of noticeable white tint to them. They're also not super oily or greasy in finish or shiny, I would say. They're also not super matte, so it's not an actively mattifying product with either of these. So I would say they leave a natural shiny finish to the skin, but nothing that really feels too heavy or shiny or sunscreen-like. Although I will say that I did cosmetically enjoy the one from CVS more because it was lighter weight and lighter in finish, whereas the CeraVe one, like I mentioned, does have a little bit more of a sunscreeny texture to it. But what surprised me was the pilling that I got with the CeraVe. And at first I thought, oh, maybe I mixed them accidentally, like both of these, the CeraVe and the CVS one, or maybe it just doesn't like this particular moisturizer that I applied before I applied the sunscreen product or the sunscreen moisturizer. So I washed everything off completely and I started again, and I did my skincare routine with a different moisturizer, a gel moisturizer from Verse Skincare, one of my favorites, a moisturizer that should not pill or have any problems with layering with any other products, and I tried it again. And I also made sure to apply the CeraVe one first to make sure that the issue wasn't being created by me cross-contaminating with the CVS one applied to my skin first. So instead, the second time around, I applied the CVS one first to the right side of my face, and I got the same thing. I got the pilling issue. And the reason why I was a little bit surprised in this case was because when I was testing these before, like during the several days before the footage that you're seeing, is I would apply this directly to my skin in the morning. It would be before my normal skincare routine, because on most days when I'm not going out and I'm not putting makeup on and all that kind of stuff. So I don't have that problem with the CeraVe one when I use it, when I just apply it straight to my skin. But if I apply any sort of other skincare or moisturizer underneath, I have that issue. And that's a major, major drawback for this CeraVe product, regardless of whether it might be superior to the generic brand in other ways, which in this instance, I don't think it is. But let's say the CeraVe one had, 5 other really good skincare ingredients that the generic brand didn't include. I would still have a huge issue with the pilling that this has, unless I really only intended to use this on days where this is literally the only thing I put on my skin, which is some of the time nowadays, but usually not the case. So I had to work through wiping off those little pilled spots before I did the rest of my skincare routine, which is a huge drawback. So this makeup that I have on is on top of those 2 products, with the generic brand on my left side, your right side, and the CeraVe on my right side, your left side. Did I say that correctly? And this is after maybe 3 or 4 hours. In terms of the wear time, they seem to both wear pretty well. I don't see any noticeable difference in the way my makeup looks on each side. So in this head-to-head, I would definitely choose the generic version of the product over CeraVe's brand name version of this product. I think CVS has made several key improvements on the CeraVe formula. Even if the CeraVe one didn't pill at all and I had no issues in that category, I would still choose the CVS version because, one, the CVS version has the exact same strengths when it comes to the skincare components. It is just as good in terms of the sun protection and the ingredients that provide that sun protection, and it is just as good in terms of the other important skincare beneficial ingredients that are in it. And then when you add on top of that the superior cosmetic elegance of the generic CVS version of this product, I think it's a no-brainer that the generic version beats out the brand name version in this case. So let me know what you think in the comment section below, if you have tried both of these out and what you think, what your experience has been. If you've only tried out the brand name CeraVe version, do you have the same issue with the pilling? After my experience, I did look up some reviews and there are several people who say this pills terribly, which I didn't know beforehand. So let me know what your experience has been with this, and have you tried the generic version and which do you like better? Thank you so much for taking the time to watch. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you want me to continue doing it. I do have the PM versions of the CeraVe Moisturizing Lotion, which is one of my all-time favorite products. So I'm excited to bring you my thoughts on whether the generic version is even better or just as good for a cheaper price. So that video will be upcoming. I'm also going to give you my favorite retinol products as requested by viewers. So stay tuned for everything. That's why you should subscribe so you don't miss out on any videos like that. But anyway, give the video a thumbs up if you liked it and enjoyed it. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch, which I always appreciate, and I'll see you in the next video.